Good morning, everyone. Happy Father's Day. We are we are going to break down. Today was a weird day, right? It's Father's Day, so the game of note for today is at noon Eastern, and we're gonna see a little WNBA action. Who is it? The New York Liberty? No, they played last night. Do this off the top of my head, boys. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Chicago. Oh, right. Chicago Sky Indiana Fever are playing. We're gonna fact check that, but I'm pretty sure that's who playing. Who is playing? Liberty last night. Really solid win over the Aces. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video. Oh, there are two other games today too. Mercury, Storm, Sparks, and forget what the Atlanta team's called. Dream. But anyway, that's not the point of any of this. The point of today's video is, quite frankly, we are going to kind of do a little bit of an NFL deep dive. We're going to evaluate, and we're going to have something of an honest assessment. I'm realizing now that my mic isn't even plugged in, but that's okay. We're going to have something of an honest assessment of some of the teams for the upcoming year. Uh, Too often, I think there are just narratives that are thrown out there that are completely unchallenged, not just in the world of sports, but in life in general. But right now, we're on a sports show, so I will not bore you with my life philosophies. But there is one team that I am very high on, and I think is almost being overlooked, and fair enough. They have not earned to any extent, to any degree, any benefit of the doubt. So that's more than fair. But this is a team in the AFC that I think could make a jump. I don't think we'll see another level of surprise like we saw with the Texans last year. Right, that was something of lightning in the bottle. CJ Stroud. I mean, he overcame the narrative of being an OSU quarterback and them not finding success at this level. So you're right. He's kind of proving to be the exception to the rule, though. Let's be honest. But either way, that's not the point of any of this either. We are going to deep dive. We are going to uh, a little bit into some of the other teams, and we're gonna go also a little bit on the heavy hitters, right? The New York Jets, the Chicago Bears, and the Dallas Cowboys. So fear you not. A little bit of an NFL preview, but first we have to stick with the champs. We have to stick with the perennial, the all-time favorites, the Kansas City Chiefs. And a lot of people are understandably picking them to win it all again. Fine. I have maintained, and this isn't me who came up with this, but you can't just simply pencil in a team because they won it last year. We have seen time and time again where a team struggles, visibly struggles, to get themselves going again. And it's because a lot of dominoes have to fall your way in order for you to find success. Right? The margins are so slim anyway. And now you are no longer chasing. Instead, you are being the hunted. You have to find new ways to motivate yourself. So I say that all that to say it was very impressive that Kansas City won back to back. Very, very impressive. And that's why the three-peat hasn't happened ever before. In the NFL. Although pre the NFL pre-merger, in the 1950s, I think. Go ahead and roast me in the comment section if that's totally off. But so there's something that I read the other day, and that period. So you like your chances right off the bat, obviously. Why? Because you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But last year, we saw some of the limitations of this roster. And now they tried to shore it up in the draft, particularly with the wide receiver out of Texas. And also they re-signed Chris Jones, fine. But I'm largely all of the issues that I had last year with this team, all of my concerns, they haven't really gone away. And we saw that this team was very much mortal last year. They were 100% beatable, particularly in the regular season. Now you finish 11-6, kind of fortunate. They would have gotten in regardless, but kind of fortunate that the AFC West was as bad as it was. Say what you want about the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers. I don't think too many people are expecting them to be that bad again this year. So I think they'll get, not saying that Kansas City won't win the AFC West, not saying that. What I am saying is that I think they're going to get a little more of a run for their money. And then most notably, and this is what I found most interesting, is they were nearly at 500 at home, Kansas City. They went 5-4 at home. So maybe there's not too or maybe we're reading too much into that, but that's odd. That's definitely strange. That's peculiar. 8-2 on the road. So we say we have this Chiefs team, and right, they were mortal. They weren't looking good for large parts, and we all know the main reason. The defense, for the most part, held up their end of the bargain. I mean, it was the offense. And again, we're not blaming Patrick Mahomes, but the defense really, talk about defense wins championships. The defense really carried them throughout the season and made it so that Patrick Mahomes didn't have to necessarily overcome the wide receiver core. He didn't necessarily have to overcome within games by always having to throw for like 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. The defense kept it low scoring enough so that, and particularly in the Super Bowl, we saw the defense did enough so that Patrick Mahomes could save himself and work his magic at the end. And that's fine. That is a path to victory. That's legitimate. Fine. But we also have to concede. We also have to admit that that's a risky way to play. And you leave yourself open, hence the record. So, I don't see a three-peat coming. I think it'll be a much more competitive AFC West this year. So, if you're asking me now, does Kansas City repeat? No. I don't have them coming out of the AFC. Who else do I not have coming out of the AFC? The Buffalo Bills. And this has been a team in the Buffalo Bills. They have been overhyped. They have been they haven't had nearly enough scrutiny, in my opinion, for years now. And I don't understand why people are still high on them. I understood that I disagreed with it, but at least I understood it when Josh Allen was playing really well. I understood why there was the hype around Buffalo. But now, for sure, I like the Texans better than the Bills. For sure. And given everything, this might be something of a last dance. Last dance without the ring. But this could be something of a last dance feel. And I just mean in terms of this particular personnel, particularly on the offensive end. For the Bengals, if fully healthy, I like the Bengals better than the Bills too. I'm not going to lie about that. So I don't understand why the Bills are where they are in terms of public perception, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. They too are benefactors of the AFC of their division. In this case, obviously the AFC East, but I'm going to call this now. I like the Dolphins to win the AFC East. And even if it's close, just like it was last year, I mean they finished with identical records. Uh, I don't I don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be surprised if the Bills finish with less than 10 wins this year. So this whole offense opened up through Stefan Diggs. He put the pressure. He drew a lot of attention and opened things up for others. Even in a low production year, even in a low production season, the opposing game plan from defenses was always centered around him. Then Buffalo switched. They focused on more of a run first through the running back, not the quarterback, thank God. Offense, because of what they were seeing in James Cook. But do you know why other teams couldn't just simply blindly sell out to the run? Because they knew that if they left their respective secondary on a corner with Stefan Diggs, that would be game over for huge chunk plays. You couple that with Josh Allen, is they're begging him not to take reckless, unnecessary hits. The loss of Stefan Diggs and other key members of this, who I really liked the defense of the Bills last year, their personnel. You combine all those factors, I don't understand why the Bills are viewed as highly as they are right now. I really don't. Ooh, pardon me. So to me, if you go on the sports book, for example, and you see the Bills 1, Jets 2, Dolphins 3, that's complete ludicrousy. I would have Dolphins 1. I would still have the Bills 2, the Jets 3, and then New England Patriots. Unless Drake May truly has a CJ Stroud type of rookie impact, I think the Patriots 4 is a safe bet. But I would be open to listening to people switching the Jets and Patriots 3-4. I would be open to listening to that. But for sure you can't have the Jets too. For sure that. So I don't know. I don't know. But now let's move on to my favorite division, the NFC East. And we're not going to go through all the divisions here, ladies and gentlemen. But here we are. I mean, I've been saying that I don't like the Philadelphia Eagles, and a lot of people are giving a lot of flack, a lot of grief toward the um, Dallas Cowboys because of lack of offseason moves and and lack of and overall. We have to admit, there's been an overall lack of noise. I view that as a positive. That is a good thing. That is showing development and growth within the Cowboys organization. I like that they've had a quiet off season. They should probably have more quiet off seasons. Let's contrast that with the Eagles. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. When you have an organization, you should have a form or some form of vision of continuity of alignment. You really should. And if you don't, then you have parties with other interests within the organization working against each other. For sure, not all oars rowing in the same direction. So I don't see that in the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to be a problem. This is going to continue to be a problem. I mean, there and then let's not forget you have your the best center in football, Jason Kelsey, retire. You bring in a guy who, Kellen Moore, not exactly known as a run guy first, as a run first guy, and not exactly what he's known as. And so your big offensive acquisition for Jalen Hurts, who, let's be honest, he is a run first threat quarterback. I'm not saying he's a run first quarterback, but he needs that as an escape route, and fair enough. Like, that's not a knock on him. But either way, I say all that to say, then of course you go grab Saquon Barkley. Jordan, that is not what's going on here. It's Happy Father's Day, but I'm trying not to personally celebrate that anytime soon. So that is not what's going on here, Jordan. You are misinterpreting this situation. um, Shout out to Jordan. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Jordan. I forgot to tell you yesterday. My bad. We did a couple shows and we did a new show. Hopefully, we can have you on here sooner rather than later. But yeah, my bad. But either way, enjoy the game, my friend. Enjoy the game. I will say, while we're on the topic of we'll go back to football here in a moment. Become I have become a bandwagon New York Mets fan because of Jordan, and it's mainly because I want to see him happy in life. So go Mets, down with the Yankees. um, where was I with all this? Oh yeah, the AFC East, the AFC East. I like that the Dallas Cowboys are largely quiet, that they haven't made too many moves. Now, I'll admit this, and you have to admit this, the Cowboys' ceiling is limited with this current roster, and it's inherently more limited with Dak Prescott as a quarterback. I think they have enough playmakers to overcome where, depending on what the path is, they could win the Super Bowl potentially. But in terms of longevity, in terms of knowing what you're getting, I like the Dallas Cowboys over the course of a season a hell of a lot more than the Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't understand why the Eagles are one. I really don't. I like Cowboys one. I'm gonna surprise people here. I don't think this Giants organization is run nearly as bad as the Eagles or the Commanders. And we saw what we saw is that this is a team that can overcome to an extent. Now, obviously, what's their number one issue? Obviously, their number one issue is at the quarterback. Fine, I'll give you that. I don't. It's a bad quarterback room, so I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But Brian Dable has showed the ability to make the most out of it. They're in this division. I think they're going to challenge for a late wild card spot. So I actually do like the New York Giants 2, the Eagles 3, and the Commanders, just like their facilities. Or should I say lack thereof, because of the issues with their piping, are going to be down the drain, down the tubes. Let's see. Let's see what Jordan has to say. And the Bills need to make a deep playoff run, or everyone getting fired. Yes, indeed. And the Cowboys need a deep run, or everyone got to. There we go, Jordan. We're just firing everyone today. If they get bounced to the wild card, and that's the thing. The Cowboys, I think, are going to have a decent regular season. And by decent, I mean I think they'll comfortably make the playoffs, whether they end up. So I think they'll win the NFC East. But even if they don't, I think they'll comfortably make the playoffs. But just like we saw last year, this is a team that, even if they play spectacular football at times throughout the regular season, they are just as likely to get bounced in the first round. And if it means Jordan laughs, I'm kind of for it. So so I don't think that's a terrible take at all. Now, This isn't my sleeper team, but I do want to comment on the NFC West for. I really respect. Oh, before that, sorry, I'm all over the place now. The New York Jets, Jordan's other favorite team. Oh, I don't know if you heard Jordan. I gave your New York Giants a little props. I think they stand a shot to finish second. And this is mainly due to my disdain for how the Eagles and Commanders are run. And I like Brian Daboll. So terrible contract they gave Daniel Jones. Terrible, horrific contract. But luckily they played the NFC East. So I could see them coming in second. I don't see that being for a playoff spot, but I could see them coming in second. But anyway, where was I going with all this? Oh yeah, the New York Jets. The New York Jets, my other favorite team to talk about. I mean, and I hope you don't mind me stealing words from your mouth, Jordan. But what a clown show! What a circus! This is why I don't personally understand why the New York Jets are number two. In terms of how people are perceive them to be second in the AFC East. For sure, it's going to be Buffalo, Miami, and I have Miami one, Buffalo two, then the Jets, then the Patriots. And like I said, I'm not saying this, but I'm open to people saying Patriots three, Jets four. I'm open to that. But but this is now a team that there's just too much outside noise going on. It's just every day, it's a PR nightmare in terms of really predictable issues every single day. And you have to say to yourself, how is this your response? How are you getting in front of a microphone? Right? If you're in a leadership position, part of what your job is, part of what your responsibility is to anticipate and or have a good response for when stuff happens. But as much as possible, your job is to be ahead of the curve and try to anticipate problems instead of constantly reacting to problems. Uh, let's throw that second part out the window because for sure the New York Jets aren't ever going to anticipate problems. So fine. uh, that will never be a concern of mine when discussing the New York Jets. Were they smart today? Were they proactive? No? Okay, good. So, part B. How can this team be better in responding and then dealing with stuff as they come up? Because they're going to come up with this team, particularly with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. I don't think you can. That's just in the history of in winning organizations, of well-run organizations. That's not to say that noise or too much noise is the end all be all. For example, the Kansas City Chiefs have been very good at dealing with noise. But it takes a certain leader, it takes a certain someone to be able to push the right buttons and to keep the team focused despite everything. That is not Robert Salo. That I can promise you for free. Sweet. Bless me. Thank you. So, whether you agree or disagree with me in terms of what a team needs and how, and team dynamics, organizational dynamics, I think we can all agree Robert Sala is not the solution, regardless of anything else. So that is mainly why I'm out on the Jets. And then it would take a strong coach, and the focus would never be to control Aaron Rodgers. That would be a waste of time. Instead, it would be how to best work with him, how to minimize his distracting impact on the team and elevate him as much as possible and just get him to buy in. That would be your goal if you are the coach of the New York Jets. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So we can move on. But so now back to one of my more actual. This isn't my sleeper team. Again, I do have a sleeper team that I really like, but I don't think enough people are paying attention to the Los Angeles Rams, and maybe it's just the circles I'm in. Maybe it's my friends need to be more educated. Shout out Jordan. Go ahead. You can give me a hard time for that. Um, uh, kidding aside, I love Jordan because all kidding aside, he actually does know what he's talking about. But also, when he turns the switch and just speaks from the mind and speaks from the heart, it's gold every time. So playful jab, but all kidding aside, super respect everything Jordan says, and I love his delivery every time. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the Los Angeles Rams. This is a team that made the playoffs. This is a team that finished 10-7 in a pretty good NFC West. Now the Cardinals are a complete joke, and I feel bad for Marvin Harrison Jr. But other than that, these are three teams that finish above 500. Wouldn't surprise me if that happened again. And you're in a division with arguably the best team in the league. So when I hear teams being discussed, and let's be real, this is still the NFC. I would like a little more respect. I would like a little more buzz. I would like a little more talk about this Los Angeles Rams team. Now, maybe they're not getting that because everyone's crowning the San Francisco 49ers as the sure team to win. And that's fine. That's fine. But overall, uh, in the landscape of the NFC, I think this will be a high wild card team. Uh, I see this team doing well. So I don't understand why some people are sleeping on the Los Angeles Rams, and and by that I just mean in terms of possible playoff implications, possibly being dangerous at the right time. This is a team too that largely is doing well, in my opinion, of replacing the old cast and filling in with young bucks. I really like some of the transitions that we've seen throughout. I mean, I don't know, is Sean McVay still alive? He's pretty good. So for anyone who is sleeping, for anyone who is doubting the ability of this team, you'll be shocked around December, January. You'll be like, "Oh my goodness, the Rams are in the playoffs again. Oh my goodness, they're you know they or probably around October, November. Say, oh my gosh, they're on a 6 game winning streak and they beat a couple of actually good teams. Yeah, yeah, uh, of course they did. So that's where I'm going with from this team. I really like them, and this isn't a Rams team of old, and that's a good thing. So if anything, I think they're going to build off of some of their success from last year, and we'll see a little better, a little better play just overall. So that's how I view this team, at least. Kind of surprised that they're not getting a little more respect. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But moving on, we won't go through all the teams. Just a couple of the big heavy hitters. Let's go to the AFC North, Baltimore Ravens, and we all know, we all know what the big thing is with this team. You get Derrick Henry. Now, is that enough? I think it is, and it's mainly for this reason because he's still respected. So obviously he's at the tail end of his career, right? That doesn't take a genius to say. But I think other teams will still respect him. And as long as he holds up decently in terms of health, I think I think there's a good chance that he could be a threat. And he for sure won't ask to be the cowbell running back like he was for so many years with the Titans. So I really like the move. It makes sense. And again, it's not because you're taking the rushing production and just adding it to this team. He's not going to get the carries for that. But you have to really like the fact that this is a team that Lamar Jackson, say what you will, he's improved. He his whole a lot of the critics, and I think to a large extent fairly, said that he's just a running back. He doesn't throw enough. He can't complete the deep ball, and he's proven that to be inaccurate. Now, is it enough at times? Could he be better? Of course. You could say that literally about everyone, minus Patrick Mahomes. So I think he's getting over scrutinized. Um, does he have off games? Yeah, of course, but so does everyone. But the threat of adding Derrick Henry to that of Lamar Jackson, you are going to have teams that will feel the need to sell out to the run. That will open up things down low, or that will open up things deep and across the middle. And if not, then you're going to have at times throughout the games for sure an advantage for the Baltimore Ravens to take. Um, use try to use that to their advantage. I just said advantage twice because I couldn't. I was literally trying to think of another word for advantage, but either way, right? If they choose to play the run straight up like you normally would, I think there could be times where you're playing with fire. So again, Derrick Henry, not what he once was, but he doesn't need to be, and that's fine. But adding this element to make other teams respect the run even more, I really like it. And this was a team that throughout the regular season looked as dangerous as any, and for sure looked more explosive. So this is just another wrinkle to add, but one of the more dynamic wrinkles that you could add. Now, finally, the team that I'm kind of looking forward to take that next jump. And maybe I'm being overzealous. Maybe I'm believing the press clippings a little bit too much, but I really like this Tennessee Titans team. Uh, and I feel like someone who's just admitted a deep, dark secret that I've just been clinging and holding on to for so long. But yes, I really like this Tennessee Titans team. Now, let's break down the AFC South, though. Obviously, a lot of people like the Texans to repeat, and the Jaguars. Um, if they were to If they were to win the AFC South, no one would be surprised. No one would be shocked. Trevor Lawrence straight off of a contract, a nice contract extension. And usually, for everyone who says, well, that's no good, and now you'll have less money for other players. That's true, but usually you don't see that until a couple years deep into the big, massive contract. So for this year, I think they'll be largely fine in terms of any of that. What I'm more concerned is that I think Trevor Lawrence is someone who he kind of needs everything to more or less go right, particularly in personnel, and something of a limited NFL ceiling. And this is coming from someone who is high on him out of Clemson, just because he looks the part. He looks like a quarterback. And I don't want to say that it's been disappointing. I mean, I don't think anyone could have overcome the Urban Meyer disaster as a first year player. So I'm not saying that at all. But there was always a little bit to be desired. Uh, and there are times last year where you're watching, it's like, ah, is the damage done? Is it lack of confidence or what's going on? Because we all know how talented he is, but at times it looked like he was almost scared. So that's why I'm not nearly as high on pardon me. That's why I'm not nearly as high on the Jacksonville Jaguars as some are. So I would still have the Texans 1, but I like Titans 2 making into the playoffs and making some noise. Now, you have Malik Willis. I don't mind him as a quarterback. I really don't. And you're kind of seeing right, what do you have in this room? Uh, and we all know why people aren't high on the Tennessee Titans as a whole. It's because of the quarterback room. So you have Will Levis and you have Malik Willis. Now they have each showed. I mean, I would say Malik Willis has shown more flashes than Will Levis. That I mean, I would comfortably say that. But either way, we also saw that both, if given the opportunity, may end up proving that they're not NFL caliber quarterbacks, and that's fine. I love what they're doing overall, though. This was a team that easily could have mailed it in. This was a team that could have sat tight and said, you know what, we'll compete next year. Let's just tank. And I really like the weapons that they gave their quarterbacks. I like the support that they gave their quarterbacks. So this we are going to see after this season. I don't love that they fired Mike Vrabel. That was all politics. That needs to be said. However, however, we're seeing young coaches have success. Brian Callahan, he's earned it. He has experience. Is it going to be? It's going to be different than the Mike Vrabel locker room. The Mike Vrabel coach, fine. Um, so coaching takes a step back under Brian Callahan, but this could be they went all in on supporting their young quarterbacks. So we will see at the end of this season. We will be able to, with complete certainty, determine if if this roster is ready or if they need to draft a new quarterback. We will see. Because positions 2 through 53 are largely like. Say what you want about DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, for example, Tony Pollard. At worst, they are still serviceable in this league to give you starting production. That's at worst. And personally, I still view someone like DeAndre Hopkins in high regard. So at the end of this season, we will know. All right. Uh, they need to ship um they need to ship the quarterbacks out of town. They need to get someone new. We will know this at the end, and it will be very obvious to everyone. And I say all this because if by small miracle they did nail it with either Will Levis or with either Will Lewis or Malik Willis. I don't know why I'm getting those two names mixed up. But either way, if it ends up coming to fruition, if it ends up being true that Malik Willis or Will Levis is the guy, then you're more than set. Perfect. At this point, that's looking doubtful. But I think this could be more akin to a New York Giants situation like we saw last year in terms of, all right, we have our quarterback room is limited, fine. But the rest of the team, especially against sub 500 teams, especially against teams that aren't as good, our roster, our way of doing things is better. And we just need the quarterback to not lose the game for us. Don't go out and win. Just don't lose the game for us. Let everyone else kind of carry the quarterback position. So I don't, again, between the two, I don't particularly see much in Will Levis. I like Malik Willis a little better, and that's mainly because of his running component. I think more likely than not, this team drafts a quarterback in next year's draft. That's how I view things. At the very latest, in 2 drafts from now. But everything else is so. I really like everything else about this roster, so that's why I'm decently high on the Tennessee Titans. I like them as a pick to potentially sneak into the playoffs and make some noise because of literally everything else. And now I know it's very hard to look past the quarterback position. But as Jordan would say, hopium is here. There will be teams that fall. I kind of outlined some of the teams who I think are being overrated, who did make the playoffs last year, who I think won't. And I think the Titans are going to be one of those surprise teams where we say, unless you tuned into this show, but if you're talking with your friends will say, ha, the Titans, they kind of came out of nowhere. The blueprint's there. I think they're doing enough. The Jaguars are at best a question mark. Now, I still like the Texans, so I'm not being completely silly and say the Texans fall from anywhere but one. But right now there aren't any injuries. We know that there are going to be massive injuries throughout the league that will greatly affect teams. So, all I'm saying, Tennessee Titans didn't look too good last year. They still finished 6-11. So let's see them hover around 10, 11 wins this year. Must be said, they also only finished 1-5 in the division. I think they'll finish closer to 500 in the division this year. So, the Tennessee Titans, they're not tanking. They're not going for the tankathon. They're in it to win it. I really like it. We'll see. This may end up aging poorly, but shout out to everyone. Happy Father's Day. less than 100 days. We're less than 100 days out to football.